Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. My name's the Frenzy Gamer and today we're going to be looking over the update notes and also go over like a few other things. So before I start this video, I want to actually thank AwesomeTheSauce for giving us some really nice insight and like information as to how the drop gear is, and also like, you know, want to thank his resource wherever he got his resources as well. It's really cool, and I have to say that I'm pretty excited to talk about this because this is actually the first time I'm going to do it. However, guys, welcome to the test realm notes, as we are going to be talking about Empyrea Part 2. So we're going to just quickly go with this. So yes, Empyrea Part 2 is finally here in the test realm, as it will be the conclusion of the third story arc. So basically, this is the last of the third story arc. So it's actually really amazing. I've actually done a little bit of Empyrea, and it's amazing, and it was just so overwhelming just going to the many different worlds, and I was just like, wow, like KI actually did this, like they actually did something very good. But it's like, you know, they always tend to do pretty well in the worlds, but this is just like another level of like amazing as to what KI does. And I did want to showcase some stuff, but like most of the other YouTubers have done it already, so I just, you know, didn't really want to do it. However, I have to say it's really good. It makes me regret for like not listening to the third story arc off as much, because now that I'm actually starting to listen to Empyrea Part 2, it's just so amazing. It's like, wow, like they really have done a good job with the story, and it's just like so enjoyable just going through. Like I haven't really like, you know, been having as much of a great time, you know, just doing a new world until like recently. Like I'm actually enjoying questing. I have to say though, the bosses and the mobs there are pretty difficult. I have to say they're to the point to where it's like it's making you realize like, yeah, you definitely need like some new gear or so you can actually be able to somewhat survive like onslaughts, because it's actually pretty hard to solo. At least for me as a myth wizard, it's pretty hard to solo, but it is a lot of fun. It's very challenging, and I really truly appreciate that. Other things about like the update notes is that we have the level cap to 130, gold cap is 525,000 I mean. And I have to say, you know, King's out, like there's only one thing I have to ask you. I just have to ask you one thing. Why can't we get 1,000,000 gold? Why can't we just have like, you know, just finally have 1,000,000 gold as our slot, and then once we get to 1,000,000, we get a badge called Want to be a Millionaire. I'm pretty sure it's actually Want to be a Billionaire from Bruno Mars, but honestly forgot. It's been so long since I've listened to songs like that. However, it would be pretty amazing if we have 1,000,000 gold, but that's all I'm saying. Level 130 henchmen. I actually tried some of them out. They're actually pretty cool, and they're really useful as well. 125 jewels for socketing, which is pretty good, cool. Level 130 PvP gear, which we'll get back to that in a minute. Also PvE gear and weapons, and also new pets to obtain from wandering bosses. We'll get back to the spells in a bit. However, other than that, it's like, you know, new crafting recipes, like, you know, and Nimbus Kaited. I can never pronounce it even to this day. New hunting items, you know, a bunch of new stuff here, and you guys can just read this for yourself. So here we have like the new Empyrea Part 2 gear. This is actually pretty cool. We're actually going to compare with some of the other stuff. I don't have the Cabal boots, but I do have the Alfoy one, so I can compare from that. However, there's a new hat. It's this Alfoy Commander helm right here, and pretty much the sets are pretty much the same for the most part with the hat when it comes towards the myth. Just slightly better, you know, power pip chance, accuracy to replace pierce, more crit, and a slightly bit more damage. Really cool. I actually do like the fact that, you know, it's pretty much there in case, like, you know, people want to, you know, just go ahead and get it. And it's not really that much better. However, it does have its certain benefits. I could definitely see people, you know, just going for this kind of set, you know, just for like, you know, some certain PvP challenges or so. Like if you want to do tournaments, this definitely is the way to go with tournaments. What I don't like about it though is that for all of them pretty much, you actually lose pierce, and you do gain more critical and a little bit, slight bit more damage, but really not by that much. And you know, it's a little bit disappointing, but it does have its purpose, so I'm very happy about that. As for the robes are all pretty much complete garbage. Like there really isn't no need for you to go for these robes like at all. The boots on the other hand are actually really good, and I actually just bought one of them. So the Alpha Commander boots, comparing to the Alpha, the ones I had before for PvP for my PvP series, what I do like about them is that they're actually giving a lot more power pip chance, which is amazing, because power pip chance is actually pretty important nowadays when it comes towards PvP. It's really nice to have that max 100%. So if you guys can look at my PvP set right here, I actually have 98% power pip chance with all the gear if I was to just put the Alpha boots here. Now, if I was to equip like the Desert Racer gives 2% pip chance. That's how I got to max pip chance, is because thanks to the Desert Racer from the bundle I bought for the PvP house, it will get me to 100%. So pretty much what this does is that this allows me to, you know, build up on, you know, some power pip chance. If I was to go for these boots, although I'm going to lose a bit of health, it actually is a small price to pay, because pretty much all the stats for the most part are pretty much similar. You do get more crit, you get a slight bit more damage, and you get a extra power pip chance, which is actually pretty nice, knowing that how reliable it is to have shadow pips. And I definitely have to say, it's actually pretty good. I will personally probably, like, you know, get myself one of these. Even though I am losing a little bit of health, it really isn't that much, and I will prefer power pip chance over everything. Because what can happen here is that, for instance, what's going to happen is, how I'm basically going for accuracy. Now, when I go to my deck, I don't really need this power pip chance anymore. Like, I could just, like, simply just remove this off. And by then, I'll have max power pip chance, plus I can actually finally add a little bit more accuracy. So accuracy definitely is very essential, especially when it comes towards team PvP. Lots of people tend to do a smoke screen strategy, where it's like a smoke screen, a TC smoke screen that stacks with like either a pet or a normal smoke screen, and it really gives you a high chance of fizzing spells. So basically, it's like a stun in a way. So having more accuracy definitely is important. And to have these boots to give like power pip chance, I definitely do like the idea that they give more power pip chance, because power pips are really nice to have at max stat, because you just want to have like at the least amount of problems as possible when it comes towards PvP. Wands, on the other hand, not really the biggest fan of these. So I actually did craft the revered one. In my opinion, guys, the revered one is pretty cool, especially if you're a stat free like me and want that second, like, you know, jewel slot. Also, like, just a little bit slightly better stats. It is worth going to revered one to craft that. However, what I do recommend is, like, do it during, like, you know, double reagents. It's probably the easiest way to do it, and it takes you the less time. So here's what we have for the myth one. So for the myth one right here, you are giving more crit, a slight bit more damage, but less pip conversion, and also you get only one square socket. I'm not really the biggest fan of this, because not only do you lose some pierce, but it's only just a slight bit, like, you know, better stats. And really, I will honestly just prefer either getting the revered or just a regular, you know, regular Yaga's mace, because it's just a lot better overall. And here's some of the other schools as well, if you want to take a look. I'm not sure exactly for the other schools. However, these are pretty much, for the most part, just slightly better versions of the, you know, the original crafted ones that you get from, you know, the Arcanum. And I have to say, not really the best part. However, you know, the Athames are actually pretty cool. I do like the fact that they're giving a lot more health. The only thing I see that's wrong with this is, like, you know, although you get more health, I mean, you do lose some damage. Like, for example, as you can see from the Darkmoor's Athame, you're basically losing damage. I mean, you are getting more health, but you're also losing damage, and you're also losing power pip chance. So again, definitely not like the best. I would definitely not recommend crafting these at all. You're just better off going for, you know, the Darkmoor thing, which actually isn't that hard to get. And then we have one of my most favorite parts of this is actually the amulets. You can actually craft yourself some mastery amulets. It's really cool that you can craft yourself some mastery amulets. Really not really much like negatives to say about this. It's actually pretty cool. You can actually craft these, and, you know, obviously lots of people are going to go for like either the life one. Most likely people are going to go for the life one, maybe even death or myth or so. They're pretty much the most commonly used ones. It's really cool to see it, that you can actually craft them, although it's most likely that they're also going to be, you know, droppable as well. So, you know, just give that for what you will. However, I do like the idea of, you know, being able to craft some mastery amulets. It's about time we are able to craft mastery amulets. And then we also have the critical rings. Critical rings, on the other hand, right here, I actually do like them. And honestly, I think they're... I'm not sure if they're slightly better, or they're at least on par with the Mimic's ring, because I actually do not have the Mimic ring for my Myth, but I do have it for the other schools, and from the looks of it, it looks like it's kind of like a slightly better to like an on par version of the Mimic ring. So really cool. I do like, you know, the fact that it's like more in the critical side, so if you guys want to do some more damage, you want to be able to do some, you know, quick matches or so in tournaments, it's actually a good way to go. The only thing I will say about any of these crafting stuff is that, number one, like AwesomeTheSauce said, thanks to him again, he actually did say that for one, you actually are able to get the droppable gear. It's pretty much the same, just stamped with a different name. And it gives the same stats, like literally it's the same stats, just has different names on each gear set. So there's that to take into consideration. And also you have to remember the fact that these are actually really rare reagents. Now I haven't gone to much to Empyrea Part 2 to see if these reagents are still rare or not, or you can actually easily farm them. But from the looks of it, it seems like it will probably be a very still probably be a very rare reagent. We also have a new reagent called Pure Aether, which most likely is going to be a very rare reagent as well. And it's going to take lots of work, and it's going to take lots of farming in order to get these reagents. So again, it's really nice to see that you have like a grind to do in case you want to go for like the best stats. However, you also have to take into consideration that you can also get these gear likely through drops. If the hat, the robe, and the boots are droppable through like just normal boss drops, it's likely that the wands, maybe amulets, you know, the themes and, you know, rings might be the same thing. So that's just one thing to take into consideration. Alright guys, and here I am in Unicorn Wear near the arena talking to my boy Mistborns in order to actually show you guys the level 130 PvP gear. So I'm just gonna say this really quick. It's pretty much the same. It's pretty much, most of it's just trash. And but in case you guys want to look at it, here is the hat right here. Here is the robe. Here is the boots. Here is the wand, which is actually not that bad, but it's still pretty trash. Here is the fame, which honestly, it's pretty much the same as the last one, just slightly better stats. Like all of them are pretty much slightly better stats. Amulet, in case you guys care, you probably shouldn't. There's so many better ones out there, like the Von Shane one. The Duelist ring, on the other hand, is actually pretty good. I have to say that, again, if like quick match purposes, if you really want to go for like, you know, some critical, here you go. But again, I still probably recommend the Duelist ring over anything. The deck, on the other hand, again, not really much just changed, just slightly better stats compared to the one from last year or so. And I mean, there again, just not much difference. So that's it for the PvP gear. Again, like I said, it's really not that much difference. It's just essentially different, you know, slightly better stats, and for the most part, it's all the same. Okay, guys, and here I am with the notes again when it comes to talking about the silent spell. So we're gonna go for each one. Silent Fire does 1300 damage regularly, does double the damage if the target has at least 2 dots over them. The Scion of Ice does 1185 ice damage regularly, does double the damage if the caster has full health. The Scion of Storm does 1380 damage regularly, does double the damage if the target has 75% or greater health. Scion of Myth, as I said before, 1260, does double the damage if you either have stun blocks or the enemy is stunned. Scion of Life heals 1315 regularly and doubles the healing if the target is 25% health or less. Scion of Death does 1040 regularly, does double the damage if the target is at 33% health or less. And then we have the Scion of Balance, does 1225 damage regularly, and does double the damage if you have 6 or more blades. And it removes all blades if the condition is met. As for the Myth one, it removes pretty much the 2 wards or the stun shields, essentially. And I have to say, this is actually really cool. I actually do like the idea of these spells. They're very specific. You know, it's not really all based on RNG, and you know, it's really cool. However, I have to say that some of them are just not as useful. For example, the fire one with 2 dots. I think it's a little bit hard to do so for a fire to have like 2 dots or so. I feel like the fire should be a little bit changed to where it's a little bit more similar to the storm when it comes towards health base. Maybe make it the same as storm. It's like if the target has 75% or greater health, then it does double the damage. And I feel like that's just like the way the storm should be changed. Ice one has to be changed automatically. I feel like it's just funny with the ice one because it's like I could barely just like breathe on you and you won't be able to do double the damage, and it's just really stupid how it works. However, I think for the ice one, if you really want to change it and make it a little bit more useful, make it at least 50% or 60% health in order for it to do double damage. So essentially saying, if you reach 60%, you still be able, or 50%, you'll still be able to do double damage. Anything lower than that, though, you won't be able to do double damage. The myth one for me is fine. I think the myth one is actually probably the most useful one because it's actually the most easiest to cast. You can pretty much just do it every time, as long as you have the 2 stun blocks within yourself. Life one is pretty much useless in my opinion. I do like the fact that it's a heal. Not really much to say. It would be so much better if it was either a hit or the heal is actually a lot more useful, and you know, at least make this spell the exception from being a single target to a multi-target, so that you can actually heal all your allies for so much health. Because I think really, and correct me if I'm wrong, any life wizards who's max right now, correct me if I'm wrong, and you know, just tell me, does a 12 pip dryad do a lot more than this one? Like, just let me know. I really would like to know when it comes. I don't think you'll probably do as much when it comes towards the double, maybe, or maybe it probably will. But just like, guys, if you guys are any max life wizards, just let me know and like test out and see if like a 12 pip dryad does more than the double of the Scion of Life. Death Drain, on the other hand, not the biggest fan of it. I like the idea, but I'm also not the biggest fan of it. I think that instead of making it 33% health, it should be something like, you know, if for some reason you have, like, it's either like if you have 50% of your health, if you have 50% of your health, then you should be able to do double damage so you can get more out of their drain. Or it could be where the target has at least 50 to 60% of its health, and then you'll be able to do double damage. Because at this point, if you were to do double damage at 33%, there's really no point of using the Scion of Death at all. As for the Scion on the Balance, I actually see no problem with the Scion on the Balance. It's actually pretty cool. Some people say that it's, you know, 6 or more blades is actually hard to get. Not really. If you actually just use like an elemental blade or maybe like a spirit blade, then it actually will be pretty simple to get. And I don't really see any problem with this. Maybe just lower, like, you know, the amount of blades you need to maybe like, what, like 3 or 4. But other than that, I don't really see anything wrong with, you know, just doing the 6 blades or more. It's actually pretty easy to get if you use elemental or spirit blades. However, guys, that's pretty much it when it comes towards talking about them. Now, what do I think they can actually do for PvP? So what I think they can actually do for PvP is that they'll make PvP I'm not saying that they're actually game changers when it comes towards PvP. However, they are very interesting. They're very interesting to see exactly what they can do for the PvP world, because in PvP as of right now, lots of people are very reliant on the shadow hits, and this is actually a pretty nice way to see what KingsIsle is going in the direction of. Maybe like in the future spells are actually going to be very specific, kind of like these, and not really based on RNG, or just have like a set amount of damage or a set amount of something that it's going to be doing. Because, you know, it allows, like, you know, people to actually act a little bit more strategically when it comes towards this stuff. And like, from what I've been seeing, it's like the myth one is actually probably the most useful one, because it's actually the easiest to cast. It does tons of damage, and it's the easiest to cast. And what I see these spells as in, it's like I see these spells as kind of like a last resort. Now, again, most of them better than others, but these spells kind of like a last resort. Or if you're going against like some kind of conservative strategies, like healing strategies, I think it's really good to have spells like this, because it allows you to be able to one-shot them if it comes down to it, when it comes towards, you know, just doing it as last resort. Because there is lots of pretty conservative players who play this game and just play very conservatively, you know, just healing or You know, back then it was just juju spamming, now it's just pretty much healing strats. So having a spell like this definitely does help to ensure the one shot. And it's really cool. I wouldn't say that it's like the best PvP, it's best thing for PvP, but it is like a step in the right direction when it comes towards, you know, where exactly does KL want to go when it comes to making new spells, or, you know, how exactly will they be used. I think there's going to be tons of strategies made with these spells, and they're actually really cool. Like, I actually do like the fact that it's very specific as to, like, you know, how you can actually be able to do double the damage. It's really cool. They could do tons of damage. However, you have to remember these are 12 pips. It's really hard to get to 12 pips even at the max level because most of PvP is fast paced. So like I said before, this is more like a last resort kind of thing, or, you know, it could be for, you know, just kind of battles where you're going against someone who's very conservative, and it'll work effectively there as well. However, to end it all off, I have to say that, you know, pretty good update. I have to say, like, really the biggest thing about this update is the new world, and it just looks absolutely amazing. You know, I can't wait to see your guys' reaction when it comes towards, you know, playing Empyrea Part 2, because from what I've been seeing, it's really good, and KingsIsle has stepped up their game when it comes towards making these worlds. Like, the music is amazing, the worlds look amazing, like, so many areas just look amazing, and I'm just gonna try not to spoil as much for you guys, because you guys should definitely find out yourselves once it comes to live realm, or try it out on test realm yourselves. As for the spells, you know, pretty cool. I like the idea. However, I kind of wish that there was some utility spells that were added to it, maybe in the future update, because I feel like utility spells will definitely be very useful for PvP and for PvE. Maybe actually give Myth a good heal for once, and give Ice maybe... Nah, actually, Ice doesn't need a heal. Yeah, they could just stay where they are. But, yeah, like, it would be really nice to have some utility spells, like, in the future, so that, you know, it doesn't even matter, like, if the update is just nothing but utility spells. I will love it, because, and maybe some added quality of life will be nice, too. But that will be in another video for another day. And as for anything else, I just hope that they actually do add like a new kind of dark mode, because our gear is still pretty outdated. I do like the fact that they're kind of increasing the gear slightly, little by little, and it's actually really cool. I do like the boots a lot. Definitely would like recommend going for those. I wouldn't say recommending for crafting, because, you know, you can also get them from drops, and it's a lot easier to getting them from drops other than crafting, unless somehow some of the reagents become a little bit more common, especially during double reagents. Then you can just take that benefit as much as you can and just go for these different reagents, so that by then you could be able to craft the new craftable gear faster and a lot more easier. However, I'll definitely say would definitely like a new Darkmoor kind of gear, because by then we'll be able to be a little bit more within the world, because from what I've been doing questing soloing as a myth, it got to the point to where I was actually looking for help from people, because I just wasn't able to quest alone at this point. It was actually decently difficult, to the point to where it's really kind of hard to solo quest unless you have, like, you know, certain gear demands, or so, like, you know, more resistance so you can survive longer or anything like that. However, other than that, I mean, it's great. Like, I absolutely loved it. I would probably give this update like a solid 8 out of 10, because they definitely stepped up the game when it comes towards making Empyrea Part 2. However, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. Sorry for making it too long. However, I was trying to get as much information for this as possible. And again, hopefully you guys enjoy this video and get something out of it. If you guys have anything you want to share for people in the comments, or, you know, just like, you know, want to share with me in general, just leave it down in the comments below. And again, no spoilers, by the way, because I know there's going to be people who definitely want to know what happens in the end, but when they personally play it, and also I'm one of those people who don't want to get spoiled from this stuff either. I'm just doing it through test run because I wanted to. However, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and as always, make sure to stay frenzy. Peace.
Tell me, are you down?